In this video, I'll be sharing my recipe for candied grapes. Let's do it. First, you want to make sure you have all of your ingredients, starting with 1 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of Karo syrup, 1/4 cup of water, as well as your candy oil of choice. Today I'm using pineapple and raspberry. I'm also using Jolly Rancher hard candy for my coating after I dip, and my grapes, of course. Skewers that I found at Kroger on sale, 2 spatulas from Walmart, big up to Walmart. This white dish is a dish from my grandmother. It's an old Pyrex dish of hers. This pot is my favorite. It is a Calphalon pot. It is a 1.5 quart pot. I highly recommend purchasing this pot. It cooks very evenly. Now you'll see that I am prepping my grapes. You do want to make sure you push the skewer through as deeply as possible to ensure you don't lose any grapes during your process of coating the grape. So you'll see in this video where I'm just kind of pressing the grapes all the way in. You'll kind of feel the little prick in the palm of your hand. I'm showing you that I'm putting it through the whole of the grape. You just kind of push it through until you get it all the way to the tip of the grape. Now at this point, I've decided to add a second grape to some of my skewers. No particular reason. I just wanted to use as many grapes as possible so they don't go bad. I do try to use the smaller grapes at the top, bigger grapes at the bottom. No particular reason. I just like the way they look. At this point, I'm separating my grapes, making sure I have enough space in between. So when I do go to coat the grapes, they're not sticking together. I try to keep a nice amount of space. I try to have them kind of staggered. So like I said, they're not sticking. Now I'm transitioning into the part of the process where I am kind of sorting out my Jolly Ranchers. I try not to use the same flavor. I try to use an even amount of flavors. Sometimes these bags don't provide you with different flavors in equal amounts. So you'll have to get creative and just kind of come up with your own flavor mixture. Now it's time to measure out my Karo syrup. So I'm taking my first 1/4 cup and pouring in my Karo syrup. Then I'm taking my second 1/4 cup and pouring out my water. I chose to use bottled water just because it was easier. It's easier for prepping. It's a personal preference. Now I'm going to take my pot and I'm going to add all of my ingredients, starting with my sugar. Then I'm going to add my water. And last, I'm going to add my Karo syrup. No particular reason for the order. That's just how I chose to do it. Now I'm setting my temperature on the stove to 6. I have an electric stove. This is the only time I actually mix my candy. The only other time I mix is after I add my oil. So I'm just mixing it, making sure it's completely combined. This is the point where I realized I had forgotten my thermometer. So yeah, you need a candy thermometer. So I actually wait until after I put my candy mixture on the stove before I take the time to prep my candy shell using the Jolly Ranchers. So here's where you'll see me taking the candy out of the wrappers and putting it into my blender. So this is where I've chosen to use my kitchen shears instead of just opening each individual piece of candy. I can typically cut about 2 or 3 open and drop them at a time. So now I have placed all of my candy into my blender. I do not just press it and let it go. I pulse my candy. It's better for your motor so you don't blow your blender out. I try to make sure it's as dusty as possible. I do like my candy coated with smaller like granules of candy versus the big chunks. It's a little bit easier on your teeth. You'll see where it has like little small pieces of the Jolly Rancher, but not too big. You'll see in with the second batch of candy that I added, it was a little chunkier, but it'll be okay. I also use my spatula to just kind of clean out what's at the bottom. Because I do clean out my blender, sometimes I don't know why water sticks at the bottom, but it does. So now I am checking the temperature of my candy mixture. I wait until 250 degrees before I add my oil. We have officially reached 250. I don't know why it didn't show, but anyway. So I'm now adding my oil. I have chosen to use a little of the pineapple as well as a little of the raspberry. When I say little, I mean like 3 drops. You are making a pretty small batch of mixture, so you definitely don't want to put too much of the mixture of oil in. This is where I stir, and this is the only other time besides the beginning of the process that I do stir my mixture. Otherwise, I just let it go. We have actually reached the final stage. We are just about at 300 degrees with our candy mixture. I try not to get all the way to 300 because this pot will continue to kind of boil. So I try to stop at 295. I am now starting to coat my grapes. I'm starting with the single grape. You will see where I shake the excess candy off because it kind of makes it gooey and a little clumpy. And because I'm adding the outside candy, I don't like all of that candy. It's just too much. So now I am going for the double grape and just doing the same process, taking off a little of the excess candy and rolling it around in the Jolly Rancher candy topper. You do have to be pretty quick with this process, not too quick. It doesn't solidify in this particular pot. It doesn't solidify quickly, so it does give me enough time to kind of go from grape to grape. I try to go at a steady pace to make sure every grape is coated and I'm not using too much of the mixture on the grapes. I realized I wasn't in view to show you how I actually roll the grapes in the Jolly Rancher dust. I'm going to call it dust. But yeah, that's the process. So now I'm reaching the end of my mixture. I wanted to make sure I shared all the way to the end of my my batch of grapes, only because when you use the half mixture recipe, you actually waste a lot. So I've opted to even cut that in half. So this is what it will look like once you get to the end, and these are some huge grapes. I got these grapes from an international market, but even with these huge grapes, you still have just this amount of mixture left at the end. So now for the moment of truth. I've completed my process and now I'm at the end. My grapes are nice and covered. I have my candy coating on there and they are hard as a rock. This is what you want. You want it to be hard, not gooey. As far as taking the stick off, you just want to twist it and pull. As you can see, it did not damage the grape at all. It is still very much intact. So now the taste test. Yep, I took the whole grape out the shell. But it's actually not a bad thing because it does give you an opportunity to see what the shell of the candy looks like. Now it's time to clean. Just put some water in your pot, bring it to a slight boil, take your spatula and just kind of pull the candy up from the bottom. You shouldn't have much candy left if you're using the smaller recipe, so it won't take you long at all. Once you have the candy in a clump, just take it and toss it in the trash. That way you don't have to worry about anything damaging your pipes. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Enjoy your day. God bless.